At Fine Time, we don't believe in audience participation unless specifically asked to, especially non-podcasters. Don't laugh at our jokes. Don't nod along with our takes. We don't log on so you can pretend to have someone in the shower with you each week. Not all podcasts are supposed to be fun. So let's start the show.
If anybody listening to this listens to us specifically in the shower, we would like to hear from you with detailed reasons as to why.
No, you don't have to tell us the reasons. Hello, party people. It's your boy Dre.
Why are you overriding me like that? I want to hear the reasons.
No. Don't tell us the reasons. Don't tell him the reasons.
One guy runs the Twitter account and runs the email and just overruns me when I want to hear reasons for podcast showers.
Look, if you want to deal with all the NFT spam and like, hey, we'll get you 10 million clicks on your podcast per week from all this, you can weed through all the crap, okay? And you can post all the socials, and you can do Jam of the Week, and oh my God, we're having a meeting on the air. It's your boy Dre. Hello, everybody from Video Game Land. I don't know why I just clapped.
Video Game Land is fun.
Let's have a round of applause for Video Game Land, everybody. Please, right now. Right now. This is the worst intro we've had to a show, including our first one. I think so. This has
Andre.
to be.
Hey, Andre. Fuck you.
Whoa! All right, I'm over it. I was shocked, and now I'm over it. What the hell is going on? This is such chaotic energy. We haven't even taken our clothes off. I guess we should talk about a video game. That's typically what we do up front.
I'll talk about a video game.
Which one?
There's a hot topic game by Retro Studios out that we're going to talk about. Surprise! It's actually Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, and I played it on Wii U. I didn't even play the fucking Switch version.
No way! Why would you do that to yourself?
I already had it on Wii U. I wasn't going to spend. I guess even it's on sale for Mario Day, but I wasn't going to spend another 55 Canadian dollars when I've already got it sitting on Wii U.
Well, enjoy your 540p or whatever it runs at.
And your new funky mode.
I didn't.
Yeah,
there was no funky mode. Which, admittedly, that was the one thing I did feel like I was missing out on funky mode. But that's okay.
I like the Spanish version of that box where it says Nuevo Funky Modo or something like that. It just looks great with the upside down exclamation mark and shit. The stylized of it. Nuevo Funky Modo. I liked it. Anyway.
Well, not here. It's vanilla ass basic bitch Wii U Tropical Freeze. But I've given this game a run a few times and I've never seen it through. I guess it just never really clicked with me. But I want to start out talking specifically about the aesthetics and kind of the one-off gimmicks that are in each of these levels. When I started playing this for the first, 2 or 3 worlds, I had a list on my phone of all of the levels that I kind of wanted to bring up on the show, the ones that really felt unique and interesting and had interesting like one-off mechanics in that level. And then at a certain point I gave up because almost over half of the fucking levels fell into that category. Everything is so unique and both gameplay mechanic and aesthetic wise. I guess some of the major highlights there, you're chased by a tornado running through the forest fire, the barrel shooting levels and the different perspectives, which I do remember to a degree they did that in Donkey Kong Country Returns, but it's just done better here. Going through the
what
sawmill
is it from Donkey Kong Country Returns, honestly.
and the squid, the 8-legged squid that chases you through the underwater levels. So that list goes on and on. And each of those, again, it's not just the aesthetics, but they have those gameplay elements and they don't overstay their welcome. Usually that's something that's special, that's implemented on a one-off basis just for that level that complements how good everything looks. And I really got the sense by the time I was done that the spectacle again, both aesthetically and quote unquote gimmick wise, is so strong. When we talked about Donkey Kong Country, at the time they had tech that nobody else was really using at the time, and so they kind of had that cut above the rest platformer thing going for them. Where obviously Tropical Freeze isn't doing from a specific tech standpoint anything different, but they still, I felt, were able to kind of maintain that cut above the rest thing.
Can I ask you this though? How do you feel about like Donkey Kong Country 2? Because I don't like that game because I think part of the reason why is because of the gimmickry. I think it's so annoying to play. Like most of those levels are I think those barrel levels make me want to end my life. I can't stand them. Right? Whereas like in Tropical Freeze, I don't mind them. That's just, I don't know, maybe there's just something about that game where it's just like too far for me. So what do you think in that regard?
It's hard for me to differentiate one from two because I had one growing up, and so I've played the shit out of it. I've beat that game probably, over 10 times. I've only beat 2 once as an adult, so much later on, and so I didn't, I didn't play it over and over again. So I definitely struggled a lot more going through it, and I definitely have more fond feelings towards the first. But I don't know if that's necessarily a fault with 2, as opposed to maybe just the nostalgia factor of 1 and the amount that I've played it. So it's hard to objectively give an opinion there.
Okay.
I want to talk about difficulty as well, because I'd often heard this called a tough game, and on the surface level, I think that's fair. But the more I played it, I spent a lot of time thinking about that difficulty and how the game is designed around that. Actually, when I first started this for the first bit, in my notes on my phone that I keep to bring up on the show, I was going to come after this game a little bit over a broad topic that I almost always feel like is that I would classify as poor game design, and that's the idea of making something more difficult as a punishment for failing. The worse you do, the harder it gets, and I just generally don't like that. And I originally thought that was the case here, because the game is definitely much more difficult when you don't have a companion. Normally Dixie, because Dixie is by far the best companion in this game.
I'll have to agree with that, unfortunately.
and the checkpoints are almost always placed after where you would get the companion. So if you fail and you restarted that checkpoint, there's usually a significant amount of that level that you have to play through again without the companion. The more I played, I found that a little bit more that it was, in this case, implemented somewhat elegantly, because the trade-off here is that they really rely on, if you have that companion and you're going to get through this, that you're doing that sight unseen on the first try. Whereas if you fail with that companion and you have to do it just with Donkey Kong, the trade-off is you know what's coming up. So the more I played it, the more I appreciated that. So I retract my original attack on it for increasing difficulty that way.
I can see that though. I didn't feel that way when I played it. Of course, I played it on Switch in 2018, so not super long ago. I understand it, but I didn't feel that way when playing.
Like you thought it was not good that they placed the companions before the checkpoints?
I feel like I didn't even notice that was a thing. I just feel like, because I know like in the original they like to place it near the checkpoint barrel, like a Donkey Kong barrel, either right there or not too long after. I guess it just didn't bother me that much in this game that it wasn't the case, because you never really had to go super far. I don't know. It didn't occur to me, I guess.
Yeah. And I don't, after a while when I kind of realized the way they had implemented it, it didn't bother me anymore either. Also with difficulty, so they kind of balance out that difficulty in cases where it's something that's going to teach you a new one-off gameplay element by taking away a heart from you or hitting you or whatever. They almost always give you an extra heart after, when they're basically forcing you to take that hit. And secondly, quite often after a particularly punishing section, there's a balloon after there as well. So it essentially, as long as you can get through the first hurdle, in that difficult section, they have that balloon there so they can make it as hard as they want, and all you need to do is just be able to get far enough to get that balloon, and basically gives you unlimited tries. And I think that was a really good way of doing that, because, I like having that difficulty there, but I don't want to get frustrated that I'm, losing the fucking 40 extra lives that I've got banked.
This is something me and Vin talked about when on our Mega Man and Base podcast last year, because Mega Man and Base does that. Sometimes if we're a boss, there's an infinitely respawning 1-up where it's like the developers know exactly. It's like, okay, you're gonna die. You can just keep trying this. It's fine.
Yeah, and that's a good way of handling it. That makes it a lot less frustrating than if you feel like you're actually like losing something of value every time that you're struggling with something like that.
Right. Especially, and you know how Mega Man is. You lose all your lives. You're at the beginning of that level,
right.
And if it's like a tough fortress level, like near the end of the game, fuck you, right? So it's good that they do stuff like that sometimes.
Yeah. So I did walk away feeling like this is a tough game, but I also did have, over 40 lives by the end of it. So the way that it was implemented, I could feel like it was tough, but it wasn't, it certainly wasn't unmanageable. What I do want to come after this game, I feel like I'm taking fucking crazy pills, because after I finished this, I was watching some YouTube videos about it, and everybody was like, it controls so good. This is one of the best controlling 2D platformers ever. Personally, I thought that was easily the weakest point of the game. Again, I did play this on Wii U, so maybe they somewhat refined this in the Switch release. I don't know, but always just the momentum felt off, especially playing just as Donkey Kong, because playing as Donkey Kong by himself fucking sucks. And I don't know if part of the problem is because this feels just close enough to like classic Donkey Kong Country that maybe I'm relying on old habits, which you absolutely can't do. You can't play this exactly one for one like you would play Donkey Kong Country. Especially the long jump, I felt was really finicky. If you roll into doing that long jump, it's really hard to be able to adjust like exactly. You can overshoot that very easily. And one of the most annoying things, this just pissed me off. If you want to high bounce off of an enemy in the air, every time you want to high bounce, you have to like let go of that jump button rather than just holding it down and repress it before you hit that enemy again. I don't feel like that adds anything like in terms of proper difficulty and making it harder in like a positive way. It just makes it feel unintuitive for me.
Everything should just do the Mario thing, especially in Mario Maker 2, where they sort of normalize all the controls no matter what style you're playing. Hold the button, do a high jump. That's all you got to do. You don't have to do any precise timing.
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm fucking proving anything to myself by remembering to repress that button, because that's all it is. It doesn't make it harder. It just makes it shittier. So yeah, I don't know. I felt like I was fucking nuts, because everybody online, when I was looking this up, said it controls so good, and I strongly disagree. Still loved the game, but controls were a major weak point for me.
I'll say this. Here's my take. Donkey Kong Country has never really controlled that well. It's always felt a little slippery. So like Tropical Freeze felt a little less slippery than like, let's say the original, which I think is the best one before I played this one. I don't know. When I went back to it, especially like when's the last time I played it? SNES Classic. I don't know. It felt just the same as it always did, which is kind of slippery. So maybe that's just my take on Donkey Kong Country. And I know people even at the time hated the way Donkey Kong Country controlled, because it wasn't that tight, super tight, like, because there's a lot of animation in there. A lot more than usual compared to other platformers of the time. So you're going through a lot more motions, and it's not as immediate as other stuff, which is fine. It's just something you have to get used to. And I remember people at the time not liking that. So I don't know. I guess
kind of see that, because there, I can definitely see how there's nuance in original Donkey Kong Country controls, but I also think that you can definitely like get that nailed down to a complete science in your head when you're good enough. And I just feel like it's a little too loosey goosey here. Maybe I'm just a shitty fucking gamer. I don't know.
Kevin, the fake Canadian gamer. Once again.
The little side tangent. I think it was you that had Kevin, the fake Canadian gamer, on a Christmas gift, and the lady at the post office fucking laughed so hard at that and mocked me over it. So
one time, my friend sent me a box of something, and he put his return address as his name as your wife. So, like, I got a lot of interesting questions from my building manager. He's like, "Oh, I didn't know you're married. We're not. I think I made up something. Oh, we're divorced. She just likes to, you know what I mean? Whatever. I said something, but I was like, you asshole. I got questioned about this. Oh man.
Well, good. You passed it along.
Yep. So, Steve. Hey, Steve. Hey, how you doing?
I'm fine. I'm having a fine time.
Really? What do you think
Trademark.
about Donkey? What do you think about Donkey Kong Country?
I like Donkey Kong Country. I think it's been unfairly maligned over the years, mostly by Andre.
It's very fairly maligned. Hey, I like 3 more than 2. Okay,
Which is weird because that's the most gimmicky one.
Yeah, but the gimmicks were fun. They're not fun in 2. I'll take gimmicks if they're fun. But, whatever. That's another discussion. So, contrary to what Kevin said, we are going to talk about the other Retro Studios release of recent times, which is Metroid Prime Remastered. We all played it. Steve, did you get to beat it?
I sure fucking did.
Okay.
If we all followed my games beaten thread, we would all know. I'm just kidding.
at Monotone Gent on Twitter, on Elon Musk's Twitter. So
70% of shit found, Andre.
So he's giving us the finger wag over the pile.
Yeah, he's always telling about the pile. I have a system and a pile and a pile system and a systematic pile. He says all the time.
Yeah, I got a pile for you right here.
Hey, you can't put up that finger by itself. Didn't they teach you that sometime in school?
Out here, I'm allowed to.
You're not out here. Out here, my ass. So
on the East Coast.
Bullshit. So we've all played through Metroid Prime Remastered. I mentioned it when we were talking about the Direct that I did pick it up and I played an hour or 2 and whatever. It's cool. But we've all beat the whole thing. And so we just kind of wanted to talk about it. It's kind of hard to talk about something so well covered, but we just want to talk about it in general terms of stuff about this remaster effort. And I want to know what control scheme you guys went with, because I went dual analog. I was actually going to go tank just because personally, I like to try the original way a game was, supposed to control. So if they offer a new control scheme, it's like, let me try it the original way. If I don't like that, I'll try the updated version. But I just went dual analog, said fuck it, and I went with it. Kevin, what did you do?
Yeah, I want to do a little bit of a mini fuck I was wrong, because before this came out, I would have argued that it probably didn't need to update the controls, because I would have said the originals lent themselves well to the way that game was designed. And that was fucking stupid, because I did the dual analog controls and oh my God, it is so much better. I feel like I would really struggle actually to go back. I would very much miss it to go back to the original controls. There were a few little quirks, but it's much better overall.
Well, for me, after Metroid Prime 3, there was no going back to tank for me. Not that I necessarily need the Wii pointer and nunchuck, even though that was great for the time. I don't think I could have gone back to tank, Steve.
Yeah, I browsed all the options just because, and I very much appreciate that they included how very thorough they were. Like, this is kind of like how it was on GameCube, and this is kind of like how it was on Wii. But in the end, I just went with dual analog too, and I thought it felt great. I did find beam changes to be a little awkward, especially towards the end when they make you flip them on the fly.
That is kind of weird. And
making the firing the super missiles or whatever you have attached there is a hair awkward if you were shooting with ZR most of the time, like I was.
I reset my save at one point to the previous save because I couldn't remember how to do the super missile, because they tell you so briefly, and then it's like, okay, and then you don't have to use it for a while. It's like, wait a second, how do I guess I could have just looked it up online instead of resetting my save. But, I was like, what am I supposed to do here?
Well, it's charging the thing and then hitting the missile, which was easy enough on GameCube and Wii when they were pretty close together. But here it's like, here, where you have, if you're using ZR to fire, and then R is also to fire missiles, I'm not usually playing Claude like that. I've got giant hands, so
yeah, it's obnoxious. It's kind of like playing I was gonna say it's like playing Echo in Overwatch, but you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, so never mind. Yeah,
No.
I just stuck with dual analog. It's good enough for me. But just in terms of a remake, I would venture to say that as like a 1-to-1 visual remake, let's just call it that, this has to rank super duper high for everybody. Certainly, I mean, you can take it back to whatever you want, like even all the way back to like Super Mario All-Stars, the original visual remake, right? Or Twin Snakes, or even like Link's Awakening 2019. I mean, whatever you guys want to pick. Like, do you have like a benchmark here in your mind, Kevin? Because like this is, we don't usually get stuff like this.
Yeah,
this is
I kind
incredible.
of think that this is the new benchmark, and I've appreciated some of the things they've done in the past, especially when you brought up the Link's Awakening remake. That was great in that case. But if they would have done the same thing here, not saying cartoony, but just like a major graphical overhaul, I think it would have cheapened it a little bit. They really kept the original spirit of the aesthetic of that game, while overhauling it significantly at the same time.
My only gripe graphically is that I wish it could be 1080p. It's 900p, which I guess is good enough. You know what I mean? Considering what it is, but 1080p would have just made it, oh man, just chef's kiss. But it's great as it is, Steve.
No, I mean, we had that discussion when it first came on. We all had a hard time figuring out what even did change. We all needed help from Digital Foundry or whatever. And they're like, yeah, we see it now. And it's funny you all bring up Link's Awakening because, you know, it's good that it was 1-to-1 as close as it could be. But I remember in another time in space when I talked about that, it might have been good if things were a little more expanded upon, or even if we had a few more pirate logs or Chozo translations that might have teased Metroid Prime 4. You know, hopefully it's coming in the next year or so. But, you know, maybe, you know, there's still that planetarium in the Fandreno Labs, you know, with places we've never been to. Maybe we're going there. Maybe that's the tease. Who knows? I'm grasping at straws. I love it. I think it's definitely up there as far as the remakes go.
Yeah, I mean, the original, it's funny, right? Because when the original came out, it was the best looking game like ever. Seriously, I don't think that can even be argued, right? We had never seen that kind of fidelity at 60 frames per second. And it was fucking Metroid, man. Like that's such part of its story that I mean, I know it was 20 years ago. Everyone knows already, but I don't think anybody can overstate that. I think what's really interesting though is that when I played this, I wasn't sure how the game was going to hold up. Just thinking in my mind, oh, it's Metroid Prime. It's got to be great. And it is great. And I want to say it up front. This was a very worthy revisit. But there was a lot of aspects, more than I was prepared for, that did not hold up for me. So I think, Kevin, you're probably the most opposed to this. I know you played it before this remake more recently than any of us, and you were pretty effusive. So yeah, I want you to speak first.
I'm interested to hear you guys out and where you're coming from this. But honest to God, before we had this discussion, when I finished this and the whole playthrough, I like was actively thinking about how modern this feels. Like, you know, if this came out today, I really wouldn't have any gripes with it. So, you know, I don't know if I'm missing something or if I'm just really looking at it with rose-colored glasses. So convince me.
We don't think the combat kind of sucks a little bit. Like, I mean, here's the thing. And I want to say this, Steve, because I know you might disagree with this too. Everyone, when this came out, it was like, well, how is this going to work in first person? Metroid isn't about combat. Well, yeah, Metroid isn't about combat, but you sure do a lot of it. And you have missiles and super missiles and bombs and super bombs and wave beams and ice beams. Like you do a lot of shooting. So we can't say that it's secondary. It's pretty integral to the experience.
Oh God.
In this game, it doesn't, it's pretty sluggish.
I know we're saving this for a rainy day, but I'm trying so hard not to launch into a tirade about Metroid Prime 2 right now, because that's exactly where I want to take this.
Well, you're going to have to wait till I play that again because I need to like refresh myself on that. I haven't played that since it came out. But Steve, am I off base here? Like,
I mean, not entirely, but you also don't have to fight the enemies every time you go into a room.
I mean, okay, but when you do have to fight them, you do have to fight those bosses. And let me tell you, Meta Ridley dragged a lot more than I remember it dragging.
Yeah, Meta Ridley did, but there was a lot of other fun ones along the way. You're going to tell me you didn't like the Flagra battle or the most of the other boss fights?
They're cool. And that's all they need to be. They need to be cool. I don't need to be challenged. I don't need like Bayonetta mechanics I don't know why I was good at Bayonetta. I don't need that. I don't need that kind of depth of combat in Metroid, but maybe I need a little more than lock on and circle strafe. Kevin, no, you don't think the combat?
I don't. I guess maybe I just don't think that combat was ever this game's strong suit in the first place. I've never thought of the combat as like offensively bad or anything by any stretch of the imagination. It's just never, I guess, what that game was about to me.
There is something though that I think is pretty much objectively like not great in 2023. It is like the level layouts and like not just the layouts, but like the connective tissue between them, the elevators to go in between each area. It doesn't make any sense because like in other games, it's like, okay, I'm getting close to lava area. I'm going to go down the elevator. I'm getting close to this. The game doesn't really have that. Why does this elevator in Chozo Ruins lead to the drifts? I have no idea. You know, like it just kind of, it's a weird disconnect. And look, I know they had to make it this way because of RAM. I understand. I'm not saying that they should have done anything different because they couldn't have done anything different. But in 2023, obviously, this would be one actual interconnected thing with like warp points and not, you know.
So is this bothering you more from like a lore perspective that you don't want a fire area to be able to connect directly to a snowy area? Is that
no? It's not that. It's not the logic of it. It's just the way the levels had to be built to accommodate all this stuff. Doesn't feel. Steve, you ever played the Goonies 2 on NES?
Yes.
Okay, you know how you have the first person sections where you go front and then back. Yeah, and that map doesn't help you, so you better just memorize it. Metroid Prime kind of feels like that, but with a map that actually works, right?
Works is generous, especially in the phase-on mines, but the thing I noticed about it's funny you say the way it all connects to each other. This is the most uninterrupted I've played Metroid Prime. I first played it in 2002 to 2003, like you, and I was a high school kid, so I was like, "Steve, we gotta do Christmas shit. Steve, you got a report due next week. Steve, you got shit to do." So I didn't play through Metroid Prime over the span of a week like I did now. I did it, over time, and I didn't notice this, but there is a lot of busy work in the opening once you hit Town 4. Mm-hmm. Go all the way through the Chozo Ruins to get missiles. Run all the way back here to get the Morph Ball. Run all the way back the other way to get the bombs. Run all the way back to the surface just to get the space jump. Now we can sort of play the fucking game. And without the creative acrobatics of the 2D games, it's very noticeable, and a lot of the other things are like blocked off to you. You can't. You got to take a lot of notes. Like, okay, I got to come back with this with the rest of my stuff later.
Good luck, because you're waiting for that map to tell you what to do. Okay, idiot, you've taken 45 minutes. Here's a question mark, like way over here, right? Like that's all happened to us a lot.
I mean. Look, I'm just happy we still had the scan visor. I love the scan visor to death, but they clearly had to adjust that into 3D, and we didn't reinvent the screwball until 2. So screw attack until
screw attack in Metroid Prime 2 is so fucking cool. It is so cool. God damn, I'm so glad they pulled that, because that was that was always my favorite attack, right? So I was like, how are they going to do that in Metroid Prime? The answer is they didn't. And so the fact that it was in Metroid Prime 2, it was that game is. You know what, Kevin? I changed my mind. It's great. I'm not going to play it again. It's excellent.
We will wait. One day we're going to get into this, because I played it Remastered within the last 2 years, and I'm still salty about it.
Okay, we will talk about that. This is not dated in a bad way, but the music is so 2002. It has that, like, I wasn't expecting it to sound that dated. It totally has that glitch, that like trance, like calm glitch,
like
IDM, whatever you want to like call it, from that time period.
Like
It's
you're watching
definitely
a
a
Fast
time,
and
but-
the Furious movie.
Kind of, but it's like, you know, the talking scenes where they need like quiet music. You know, it's very 2002.
Yeah, I get you.
Okay, and I know both of you are going to disagree with me on this. So obviously, up to this point, Samus had never had a voice and whatever, and you know, it's not that kind of game. It's not a narrative structure and that type of thing we were starting to do at this time with heavy amounts of cutscenes and stuff. Metroid Prime doesn't do that, thankfully. However, I don't think having you scan 1,400 different computers to get like bits of lore is like, that's something. And look, that's something you can do once. Okay, like, maybe it's just me. We've all played the game before, and maybe if I never played this before, I wouldn't feel this way. But I'm sorry. Even at the time, I found it a bit tedious. I read it all because I wanted to know, and Steve's shooting eye lasers at me. So I don't know. I'm sorry. That's it's too much scanning. It's a lot to tell you just from scanning stuff.
Okay, what did you expect? We were playing Metroid, and Metroid. Samus doesn't usually have friends when she lands on the planet. What? You walk into the Hall of Elders? Do you expect them to start singing at you too? Free stuff. We got lots of free stuff.
Yes,
Bring
that's what I want.
beams to get all the free stuff.
Wow.
Thanks for coming, Samus. Be sure to pick up missiles on the way out.
What would you have wanted as an alternative? Because there was no like stronger narrative structure in the Metroid series before that, obviously, and they have it there very much as a like take it or leave it. You know, you certainly don't need to do like 95% of that scanning, and you could still get like narratively what you could out of any preceding Metroid game by not doing that.
You are correct. However, I feel like if they're going to have all that stuff, it should be more interesting. I feel like, I don't know, think about a Fallout game, and maybe this is just me. I love digging around on those computers and hacking into it and reading people's personal shit. And you know what I mean? Like, I love that stuff. Maybe just because I'm nosy as hell. But like, also, I think it's just the way it's written. They're all like clinical scientific logs.
Mm-hmm.
There's no like personal, I mean, they're space pirates. Of course, it's not going to be you know what I mean? I understand by the nature of it, it can't be necessarily like more interesting than that, but I don't know.
And even
Maybe
content-wise, Fallout's a little bit of an unfair comparison. Like, we already know Samus isn't going to be scanning computers, finding out about, like, cannibals fucking each other or whatever.
Yeah, you're not scanning the computer to find out where the, what is it in New Vegas, where she finds out, like, yeah, it was the Cannibal Club, right? She has to get to the secret Cannibal Club in the that one casino. She has to bury that body and find the certain glove or something to get into this Cannibal Club. It's great.
I vaguely remember cannibals.
Yeah, I'm not saying I wanted that shit, but I don't know. It's just very clinical and sterile, and you know, again, that's the nature of it. But if you're going to have that much stuff to read, maybe it should be a little more interesting. Again, these are all little gripes. I think Metroid Prime Remastered is great. I'm not trying to shit on it or anything. I just, you know, it's definitely aged in this day and, 21 years later. That's all.
I mean, technically, yes, technically so.
Shut up, okay?
Aged like
Actually,
a
don't
fine
shut up.
Wine.
We're a podcast. We're not supposed to have dead air.
We got anything else to say, though, about Metroid Prime Remastered?
Yeah, I saw some grumbling about the Chozo artifacts online, like how annoying it is to be forced to search things out in 2023. Like, where's everyone's sense of exploration, sense of wonder? I mean, they give you the rooms and the hints too. Just go find them.
Yep. They tell you, they highlight the name of the type of room it is, tower, pool, whatever, right? And then where it is too. Just go find. I mean, Did anyone struggle with these? I didn't struggle with these at the time.
It's not. I actually I did struggle. There's one at like the peak of the what the fuck is it called? It's up in Fendrena Drifts, like up in a tower, up real high.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one I had a fucking hard, and I just did this a few years ago. To me, I think when you talk about the exploration, I would criticize this as probably the worst part of the game because I've already explored all of those places. It does feel like busy work to me. I think
but you can find all of these things before the end of the game. By the time they were telling me bring the artifacts back, I was only missing the 2 in the mines.
Okay, smarty pants. Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't fucking find them all.
No, I'm
like
just saying.
Like Steve the speedrunner here, any percent.
I mean, yes, around the same time we had Wind Waker and the Triforce pieces, but here in Metroid Prime, if you can look at the clues, you could pick this shit up as you go along. I don't get it.
I wasn't looking at it as I went along. That's the thing. I mean, maybe I could, but it could have. But I definitely was just like, okay, now it's time to do this. But like I said, even if you leave it for the end like me, I still found like 3 or 4 of them just spelunking around naturally, right?
And it can be done in like an hour. It's not that bad. It felt a little bit like it was just there to artificially increase the length of the game.
I guess I just missed this sort of exploration element where you have to, try a little.
That's what worries me so much about this new Star Wars Jedi game with them having fast travel, because everyone complained, and it's just like, I really hope they don't ruin that Metroid Primeness that I love so much about Fallen Order. You worried about the same, Kevin?
Yeah, I don't think I would want fast travel in either of those for sure.
Well, they're adding it, so hopefully, look, if they're going to add it, I guess I'll use it. But hopefully,
there's
the game is structured
probably a way to
it.
do that without like making it just like cheesy easy.
Yeah, I just hope it doesn't ruin. I loved spelunking around those areas, and I don't want that to be ruined. Anyway, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to have some big questions. Be right back. All right, we're back. Maybe. Possibly. We're back. And we have big questions. And I'll start with one. So, according to Jason Schreier, thank you. What the hell will we do without Jason Schreier on the show? For real. Like,
we'd have to make shit up. That's what we'd have to
do. We'd have to go to Jeff Grubb for his wrong Metroid Prime release dates. According to Jason Schreier, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has been delayed from May to quote unquote sometime later this year. The source to Jason Schreier said that this was for additional polish due to the poor reaction to its showing on the State of Play. So, hey guys, just in case you think, oh, it's just gamers screaming on the internet. No, hey, we bullied them into delaying the game, apparently, even though I was the one who was like, I was fine with it. And we were talking a little bit before the show behind the curtain here that, how these guys like skip through the State of Play. They couldn't wait to hit that 10-second ahead button through this Suicide Squad thing.
Maybe
so I
that's
guess
why
I was
they
the
delayed
one
it.
interested.
They looked at the metrics of who was skipping ahead on their boring ass fucking video.
So they looked at the most replayed part on the YouTube video and saw that it was not the line was very flat for Suicide Squad.
Sorry, not sorry.
So do you think, well, here's the thing I think is silly about the Suicide Squad. The delay actually is going to hurt them, I think, because it's not going to become a significantly different game in the next 6 months. The game is the game. It's going to be a live service, multiplayer, whatever thing, right? That's not going to change if it comes out in October. So like, I think it's just doing them bad because I think people think, oh, they're going to quote unquote fix the game. No, it's just going to be what it is, only later. Also, almost at the same time, Starfield was announced to have also been delayed again. But also the weird part, they announced a Starfield Direct for like June 23rd or something. Why would you do that?
Because it's totally coming out this year, you guys.
Why announce? What if Nintendo said we're going to have a Direct August 17th or something of like, it's like, well, why are you telling me right now? This is stupid. Oh man. Kevin, you're the only one with an Xbox here, a current Xbox. Have you been looking forward to Starfield? Like, does this I burn think you at all?
I guess I haven't. Yeah, I don't think anybody really knows anything about it, but I'm definitely excited to play this. Unless all of a sudden, a month out, it sounds like it's going to be complete trash.
Yeah, I mean, but we know that though, right? Because like when the Fallout 76 beta happened, we were like, oh no, right? Or when with the Anthem beta, because like, truth be told, as you guys know, I was really into Anthem. I was gonna buy it, just straight up buy it. But then the beta happened. I was like, okay, let's get into this beta, and I was like, I don't know, dog. Right? So, sometimes that can save you. Maybe that's what Suicide Squad needs is a beta. Anyway, here's my point. There was a lot of talk between Starfield and Suicide Squad that they're both scared of Zelda, or Tears of the Kingdom, if you will, because they were coming out in May. Now they're not coming out in May because Zelda is now May time. But Kevin, do you really think that should be a thing? Why should Suicide Squad be afraid of Tears of the Kingdom?
Yeah, I don't think so for either of these. For Suicide Squad, I think that our audience is just too far removed from Zelda. And for Starfield, I think there's a little bit more of an interesting answer. I think Microsoft is very intent on Bethesda having that basically bugless when it launches. And I think that Starfield being delayed has more to do with Cyberpunk than anything. Because I remember when all that shit was going down, Bethesda got name dropped constantly saying, we're yes. fucking sick and tired of this like Bethesda ass era of game design. So I think Starfield is the poster child for Bethesda to try and show that they can, release a game that doesn't have, a number of like game breaking bugs at launch.
I mean, for Suicide Squad, no, the audiences are too far removed, but if Starfield wasn't delayed a bazillion times already, I would almost say, yeah, do you really want to release your game next to Zelda? I sure fucking wouldn't. That's like every year when people are like, I really don't want to. We'll wait 2 weeks. I don't want to release next to Call of Duty. You crazy?
Yeah, I mean that's a little more of a thing, but not really. But it's kind of like saying, "Oh, Pokemon's coming out. I can't release this or new Battlefield because like I just don't buy it." I'm not saying that there is 0% like, oh man, I only have money for one game, but that's not. I mean, what are you, 14? Like how many people?
I don't think it might not be money either. They might want to try to have that social media space, and we're all going to be about Zelda once March 14th rolls around.
May 14th.
May 14th. See, I want it sooner.
Otherwise, we'd be about Zelda right now. Can you believe it's 2 months away? Holy shit. Holy shit, guys. We're almost there. I'm starting to get excited. Remember I was saying I wasn't really hyped? I'm starting to get excited.
Yeah, I'm starting to get excited too.
Okay, Steve, Sony and Microsoft have continued. You guys ever see the Bugs Bunnies where he fights that hairy thing for like round 163 of the boxing match? You know what I mean? Yeah, that's what I feel like right now with Sony and Microsoft.
I feel like this is our new Amico topic because we're definitely circling around to this every few episodes now.
We gotta.
I mean, we do gotta, because the last time we left with it, they were meaning Microsoft, was drafting up a deal with Nintendo to ensure that Call of Duty would appear on their consoles for the next decade. And since then, they did sign off on this. This is happening. And NVIDIA, too. So, that's a news story in itself normally, but we've got two different assertions from Sony and who were made a similar deal with day one Royale with cheese, okay to boot.
Hold on, wait. That's new to me. They're actually going to put it on PlayStation Premium or whatever the fuck.
They were agreeing to this apparently.
Really?
But
okay.
But let's listen to some of the stinks we got here.
Oh God, I'm laughing already.
There's an accusation about a technologically inferior Call of Duty that goes very much like this. Microsoft might release a PlayStation version of Call of Duty where bugs and errors only emerge on the game's final level or after later updates. Even if such degradations could be swiftly detected, any remedy would come too late, by which time the gaming community would have lost confidence in PlayStation as a go-to venue to play Call of Duty. Indeed, as Modern Warfare 2 attests, Call of Duty is often most purchased in time just in the first few weeks of release. If it became known that the game's performance on PlayStation was worse than on Xbox, Call of Duty gamers could decide to switch to Xbox for fear of playing the favorite game at a second-class or less competitive venue.
Hold on. That's wild. Okay. Microsoft, like twirling their mustache, is going to slip in game-breaking bugs on the final level of the Call of Duty campaign or something like.
And how does this go undetected by Sony? The day one patch is the ticking time bomb from Microsoft. That sneaky ass bitch.
It would never pass cert if they did that. Like that's just not possible.
This reminds me of the practice, like in the 80s when Sega would make shittier versions of games for the Famicom and NES, so as to draw more attention to the Genesis versions. Like there's a crappy version of Altered Beast for the NES, so you can play the less crappy version of on Sega Genesis instead.
I think there's a crappy Fantasy Zone for Famicom. I think it's like
there's actually a pretty good Shinobi on an NES.
There is.
But that's what this reminds me of. You really think they're going to do that in 2023 when that would take more work to do instead of just making as close of a version as possible across all the versions that you're signing on to make with all these other companies?
It's just incredible. Like how I almost don't even know what that's just so ridiculous. I've never seen that in like an official document before. That's insane. Yeah, I can't even. And also, like, and future updates. Okay, the bugs aren't there now, but in update, 1.03, we're gonna slip in this. I mean, like, what are they? I mean, unbelievable, just unbelievable.
Is it possible that Sony could have had an ulterior motive when they said that?
Oh, gee, I wonder.
Jim Ryan certainly thinks so. He was when talking with the EU about it. I don't want a new Call of Duty deal. I just want to block your merger. Guys.
I'm speechless. I know this is a show and I have to say things because it's a podcast, but I really don't know what to say. Imagine, I mean, look, we always thought about this behind the scenes, right? We joked about this. Oh, maybe Sony's just trying to fuck with them so the merger doesn't go through. You can't say that, though. You can't just say that. I mean, I guess you can because he did, but like, honestly, I've been ripping on Jim Ryan for like this the entirety of the show's existence, and this is just another. I cannot believe he's the president. He is the worst. PlayStation is succeeding in spite of him. Like, seriously, he sucks. Like, even if this is the case and he wasn't just saying some flippant comment, you can't just say that. I would be so pissed if I were like, I don't know. It's wild.
I'm dating myself with this one, but there's this old episode of Doug where the bully becomes the principal's pet for a day, and he accidentally kicks on the PA, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm a total asshole. What are you gonna do about it? No one's gonna stop." That's what this is.
Yeah, I just unbelievable. Look, I'm here for the petty. I love petty, so I love this story, and that's why we're talking about it. But
it just doesn't feel real.
No, I cannot believe we've gotten to this point. Just Rich from Digital Foundry had it best. It's like two billionaire children just squabbling. Just every 2 weeks, there's just something new. It's insane. Okay. We I'm sure when we get to round 227 of this fight, we'll pick it back up. And
I'm sure there was another development while we were talking.
yes. Jim Ryan gave Shuhei Yoshida a swirly or something. I don't know.
Ken Kutaragi came out of retirement just to start digging a shallow grave for no apparent reason.
I cannot stand that Ken Kutaragi man, but if he did that, it would be well deserved. So anyway, but moving on from that, we have kind of a much more dense topic that we want to take up that I think is very interesting, and I wanted to take this a bunch of different places. So I'll just set this up here. Forgive my much talking here up front. So Naoki Yoshida, aka Yoshi-P, producer of Final Fantasy 16 and famously Final Fantasy 14. He's the one who saved that game. He was asked a question by Skill Up about the advancement of JRPGs compared to other genres, and he was really put off by this question in general, and particularly the term JRPG. So his quotes through his interpreter are as follows, and I'll just read these verbatim because I think they're important and I think it's just interesting. And I quote, "One thing he wants to get across is that when we create games, we don't go into them thinking we are creating JRPGs. We are just creating RPGs. The term JRPG is used by Western media rather than users and media in Japan." And he goes on to say, "This is going to depend on who you ask, but there was a thing when this term first appeared 15 years ago, and for us as developers, the first time we heard it, it was like a discriminatory term, as though we were being made fun of for creating these games, and so some developers, the term JRPG can be somewhat, that may trigger bad feelings because of what it was in the past. It wasn't a compliment to a lot of developers in Japan. We understand that recently JRPG has better connotations and is being used as a positive, but we still remember the time when it was used as a negative." End quote. So before we get into talking about this, I want to make one thing crystal clear. Anything we are going to say about this topic is our own personal experience with the term and just Japanese games in general. If Yoshi-P says it was a negative to him and his, then it was a negative. There's nothing worse as a black man when people say, I say something's racist, and people say, oh, that isn't racist because of No. It's racist because I said so. Not that Yoshi-P saying this is racist, but you know what I'm trying to say. If someone says something like that, believe them. And we do. We're just talking about our personal experience using the term and the sentiments towards maybe JRPGs or such. Okay. We're not trying to invalidate how he feels about the term JRPG. Okay. So I want to say that up front. Okay. With that said, have you guys ever known anyone to use JRPG as a negative? And in particularly in comparison to like the Western RPG genre, because if he says 15 years ago, he's talking about the PS3, 360, Wii, or he's talking about the late 2000s, you know, when that may have started. And, you know, I kind of think it's true. So Kevin, maybe you can start. Take this wherever you want, really, because this is a pretty broad, kind of dense topic here. So you start with something.
Yeah, I remember this being less derogatory towards JRPGs and just more of a sentiment that American style, more action based RPGs are going to be the future. And I think specifically, I very much think that this was probably at its peak, or I always just immediately think of Oblivion at the time. So that, you know, definitely kind of early PS3 360 generation. I think games of that ilk were, favored comparably to JRPGs, but I don't remember it being as an attack on JRPGs, you know, maybe with the odd comment that like strictly turn-based games seem dated in comparison. But again, you know, that's kind of how I took it.
Yeah, there's always those things, right? Where JRPGs are seen as dated. Do you know, like, we spent, even as early as, like, the early 2000s, Steve, I remember people complaining about random battles. something I've never understood in my entire life, or even just attacking turn-based combat in general sometimes. But it was specifically, oh, you just walk along and then you fight or something, as if that was like, okay, well, so fucking what? You know,
Yeah.
I remember, and I'll let you speak after this. I remember when Tales of Symphonia came out and people were saying, oh, it's not random. It's so cool. It's not random battles. You go up to the thing on the map and fight it. Well, it's like, well, so what? Who cares if you can see the thing or not? Is that like really revolutionary? Just because you can touch the thing and then you go into a battle, does it make it? Who cares? I don't know. What is your feelings on that kind of stuff?
I do remember random battles being a point of contention for a time in the early 2000s ish. But I don't remember JRPG ever being a bad word explicitly. I was entrenched in DS land where it was pretty safe and we were getting RPGs all the time. But I do remember poking my head out and reading in magazines and online and seeing this trend where Japanese games were suddenly bad, like all of them somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were just ignoring that years and years of most of these libraries were coming from Japan in the first place. I guess Xbox and the X-Bros brought these people out to the forefront, and people all over were just happy to, like, you know, exacerbate the problem. Like, you had Inafune, like, trying to court American developers, and you had Phil Fish and his fake-ass documentary going, oh, your time is over, Japan. I don't know.
It was a
weird.
lot. Well, I mean, it's true. There was some and look, we talked about this, and most recently probably on our Bayonetta 3 post-game show, was that, you know, at that time when Bayonetta came out, early 2010, Japanese games were in a completely different place than they were like 5 years ago. That's just a fact, JRPG or otherwise. You know, like that generation, it was kind of a struggle for a lot of those companies, especially Capcom and like a lot of other companies, like the companies that used to be on top. Konami were not anymore. They just weren't keeping up with what consumers wanted. Not necessarily like Western games, but what people really wanted. You know, think about all those things. Capcom made those crappy appeals to the West and that Bionic Commando reboot, or just God knows what else, right? For every Lost Planet or Dead Rising, there was like a bunch of other failures. So I just think in general, from that time period, he may be referring to not just JRPG Yoshi-P, but the general sentiment towards Japanese games and how, and really not just a sentiment, what was actually coming out from Japanese companies. Because if you think about it, it almost felt like by the time like Final Fantasy 13 came out, it felt like a completely different world from when Final Fantasy 12 came out. It's just the truth, you know, and they were probably feeling that too. So, and again, I'm not trying to speak for him. That's just kind of how I see it. Also, Kevin, you were absolutely right. Oblivion, but particularly for me, Fallout 3, I think is what really begat the, Western RPG is so much better because you can go here and do this and look at this and pick up that and talk to this, you know what I mean? Like all that stuff. And it's like, yeah, that's not the only way to make a RPG, guys. Like, you know, we can have different styles of RPGs. It's fine. I remember,
if I can't carry around 40 wheels of cheese in Final Fantasy, I don't want to fucking play it.
You and the cheese. Were you the one who had a cheese house in Skyrim or something?
I purposefully did collect the cheese just to put in my house to have like a cheese hoard. That was 100% a thing.
I adopted 2 kids in my game, and I always, when I came back to the house, I always gave them cheese for some reason. I don't know why. Hey, look, this is good eats back. Well, it's good eats now, but especially back then. Like, come on.
Back then, as if, you know, Elder Scrolls took place in historical times.
Oh, come on. If we can have quote unquote the Middle Ages in Live A Live, like, come on. Okay, you know what the fuck I'm trying to say, you dickhead.
Astute observation.
Okay, yeah, you know, okay. Yeah, if you had to assign a year to Skyrim, what would it be? 2008, you knucklehead? No, it wouldn't be, okay?
I wasn't exactly sitting around assigning real years to Live Alive either.
Oh, it's called the Middle Ages. Whatever.
Yeah, anyway. I don't remember exactly what the year was that the dragons invaded North America.
Oh, shut the fuck up. Anyway, so
we were not ready.
I had a I had a weird. This sticks out of my mind too when we were when this was brought up, because I remember around these forums I used to frequent about a decade ago. There was some people being really harsh towards Japanese games in general. I remember this one guy saying something that was practically like, he was like, I hate these dumb characters and their stupid dialogue and these crap, like these like embarrassing costumes they wear and stuff. Embarrassing was the word or whatever. And it's like, okay, so you just hate everything stylized now or whatever. I get like it's not your style, but I just remember them being so harsh about this. And I instantly recalled that when Yoshi-P said this. I'm like, man, maybe it's true. And maybe it's just the people, our weeb friends or people we associate with Steve, who would never consider these terms to be derogatory, but maybe among some other circles they were, surely.
I guess when I finally get my lunch invitation with Shigesato Itoi, I'm not going to talk about how he made my favorite JRPG in Earthbound and Mother 3.
Just to cap off this part of it, personally, I just use JRPG to say a type of RPG, just like we have strategy RPG or action RPG or whatever, open world RPG. To me, it's just a type of a subgenre of game. That's all it ever really was to me. You don't have to be Japanese to make a JRPG. I mean, don't you think? What's that game? We fucking Sea of Stars? That's a JRPG, baby. Right? To me.
Yet Metroidvania sets everybody on fire around here.
Well, okay, you know what? One of these Act 3s, we're going to spend 40 minutes of why I hate that term, okay? I'm promising the audience right now, we are going to do an entire act of this show talking about that term. I feel like
I explained it pretty well last year, but
no, we're going to go into it.
Well, at least Andre's got, when he's editing, he's got to spend the time to go find the beep to put in over that.
Every single I won't bleep them out. I won't even bleep this one out. I'm going to leave this one in the show for the first time. Anyway, as a result of these comments, something really interesting resurfaced. Guys, did you see that X-Play review that resurfaced on Baten Kaito's Origins?
Sure did.
As you can tell from our reactions, we all watched this, and if you want to see it, it's out there. But oh man, they were like, it's useless to describe the video. If you want to go see it, go see it. But boy, it felt a certain way. I tell you what, besides the fact they were making fun of his name, like Saki and Sake, right? Saki, whatever. I mean, that's weird in itself. And then she was saying like, our Japanese overlords will eventually overthrow us because of whatever. It was very, look, we can say what we want about mid 2000s edgelord humor, but even for me looking back, that was ugly. Or was it ugly? Or do you guys really feel like, do you think this validates more what Yoshi-P was saying or to you, or do you just chalk this up to this was the humor at the time, Kevin?
Yeah, I will say that there is a certain amount of saying something was a byproduct of the time and can be used as a learning experience looking on it in retrospect that I can deal with. I really think that at the time, most people, maybe not specifically the audience that was heavily into X-Play, but most people would have taken this at best as very tasteless at the time. And I think overall, just while we're on this topic, again, things are accepted in a different way in different eras, but I think it's a little counterproductive to like look back 20 years ago and just say, that was a time where anything and everything went and nothing was in poor taste. Even we kind of talked about like, why was anybody interested in this channel? I definitely watched my share of G4 around that time, but I never got into X-Play, and I think I've just kind of found it stupid. So maybe that says something about the audience that they were trying to attract.
Yeah, I was never into X-Play either because of stuff like that. Not specifically like this review or anything, but it just always felt so like frivolous to me. It's like, are you really reviewing the game or are you making jokes? Not that I wanted hard-hitting journalism on TV for video games, but you know what I mean, Steve? I've never been an X-Play person. So like, how did you receive this rewatching this?
Well, I feel like I need to cover my ass a bit and say, I didn't get G4 until 2007-ish when it stopped being a premium channel out here. So, and by the time I did, I was like, who cares? So when I'm watching this, calling this a review, like you said, is generous. And guys, I hate a lot of games I play on Fine Time, but I will tell you why every single time. No one picked up a GameCube controller here for whatever this review was. And more than this was the times, or this was okay at the time, this felt more like a cocky, what are you going to do? Watch someone else? Before YouTube came along and provided all sorts of competition.
It's kind of what it feels like, right? It's like we're the only game in town, so we can just do whatever the fuck we want.
And as we all know, eventually that it's only a few years later, it suddenly became okay to like this stuff again. So, I mean, I really only know I really only know G4 and X-Play as punchlines, but back at the day, if my hard work was degraded as LOL sake, I'd be discouraged too.
Yeah, I bet Yoshi-P or whoever probably saw stuff like this, and it's like, holy shit, man. Like, this, we're treated as a fuck. Look, here's the reason why I think it's ugly. I don't think they would ever do this to, like, a Far Cry game, or, you know what I mean? Like, ever. They did it because it was a Japanese game. I think there was no doubt in my mind. It was just ugly to look at. But I've always thought video game content on TV, even at that time, was still like primitive and not great. Even going back in the day, you guys remember, you're probably too young to remember the GamePro TV show. You remember that shit?
No.
Did you know GamePro had a TV show?
No, what the hell is this?
So basically, it was just two guys in a very 90s, extremely 90s basement, like
it'd have to be
giving like mini reviews of games. And they would even have you remember the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 faces of the GamePro like rating system?
Did they have this cut off and written on paper plates or something?
No. They would have graphics on the screen as they were talking about the game and the review faces, because, you know, they have gameplay, graphics, blah, blah, blah. And each one would be spinning like a slot machine. And then as they were talking about that category, it would stop on the right face of the rating they were giving it. It was weird. And then occasionally they would have gameplay segments. And I remember one really pissed me off because they were playing Final Fight on SNES for some reason. And they picked Cody over Hagar because they said he was better. And I'm like, I'm not watching the rest of this episode. So I turned it off.
Did you guys have Electric Playground in the States, or was that only a Canadian thing?
I've heard of that.
Yes, I've heard of it. I never seen it.
Yeah, because that was exceptional for video game like TV content in the 90s, despite everybody's favorite Tommy Tallarico was also on that show. But to make up for it, it had Canadian gem Victor Lucas. I think that might have just been a Canadian thing. But if you just go back and watch some like mid-90s episodes of that, I think you would really appreciate what they were doing. I think this is why I'm always a little bit, as much as I like shitting on Tommy now, I still have that soft spot because Electric Playground was so good back in the day.
Hey, if I knew Tommy Tallarico was on there, I'd be like, holy shit, this guy is the jams. I would have watched that. No, I don't remember.
He's not going to be a racist in 20 years at all.
or a scam artist.
There's a clip from that show of him laying completely naked with only a Vectrix covering his crotch area while he eats an apple.
That poor Vectrix.
Sexy. You know, that's the first console I ever played was a Vectrix.
Really?
Before even an NES. Yeah, before even an NES.
Wow.
Our neighbors had a Vectrix. I used to play it, yeah. Believe it or not. Anyway, before we go to break, as kind of an aside to this whole thing, there's been a growing sentiment around Final Fantasy 16, especially from this last round of previews, that because from longtime players, because real time, quote unquote, isn't Final Fantasy and shit. So who wants to tell these fuckers how wrong they are first, Steve?
I mean, guys, I can't say I've played every Final Fantasy game all the way through there ever was, but Final Fantasy IV took away your turns in 1991-92 with the early active time battle system. So if you really want turns We still got that. They got Dragon Quest, they got Bravely Default, and right now we've got Octopath Traveler still doing turns in the way you're thinking about him. And if that's not good enough for you, it's about your turn to sit your disingenuous ass back down because you don't know what the fuck you all want.
Damn, son. But okay, you know what? You're right. I'm going to co-sign this because not Final Fantasy X taking away the world map, right? Not Final Fantasy 12 going proto Xenoblade, or half-warm MMO, if you will, right? Not Final Fantasy 11 and 14 being actual MMOs, right? Not Final Fantasy 13 being a hallway simulator. Not Final Fantasy 15 and Final Fantasy 7 Remake both already being real-time battles. Now Final Fantasy 16 is the final straw? This is a deal breaker. What the hell are people talking about? This doesn't make any sense. Now this is a problem.
I completely agree with everything you guys both said. I do wonder if this is stemming a little bit more now because Final Fantasy 16 is pushing closer to traditional high fantasy-ish in comparison to what we've seen in recent entries. And I wonder if that's somewhat why it's becoming an issue again for some people.
And do you really think the people would be okay with a bunch of guys just standing around waiting for you to push a button with these fancy-ass graphics on PS5?
That's the thing, right? We ain't doing turn battles for these kind of games anymore in 2023 because the graphics are too fucking good, guys. They're going to show this shit off. Sorry. We're not just going to make all this shit for two teams standing on two sides hitting each other. We're not doing it. Dragon Quest can still do that. With Final Fantasy is not. It's fine. Anyway, we're going to take a break, and we have a quiz game, a brand new game. Be right back.
Oh, shit.
Fuck.
Sick. I'm sick. I'm sick. I'm sick. Head deadly. I'm sick. I'm sick. I'm sick. I'm sick. Head deadly. I'm sick. I'm sick. I'm sick. I'm sick. Head deadly. I'm sick.
All right, we're back, and we have a new quiz game that we're going to play, and it is called, I probably should have thought of a name for this, huh?
I would have.
It's called Name As Many Things from a Prompt As You Can in 45 Seconds. Here we go! All right, so here's the rules of the game, okay? As by the wordy name of the game implies, I'm going to give you guys a prompt, and then you're going to name in 45 seconds as many things as you can in that prompt. You must say the full name of the video game to have it count. So do not say Mario 1. You must say Super Mario Brothers, if that's your answer, okay? Do not say any abbreviations. Do not say PUBG. You must say PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, all right? So only full names will count here. If there is a discrepancy, if something, I don't know, if let's say you said Metroid Prime 2 instead of Metroid Prime 2 Echoes, I will probably count that. But it's going to be on a case-by-case basis, and I will be the judge of that. I will be the judge, jury, and executioner on that thing. Okay?
I'm having an anxiety attack.
So just name as full of the name as of the name of the game as you can. Okay, within reason. So okay, who's gonna go first here? You know what? I want Kevin to go first. I don't know why. I should probably have a more scientific way of doing this. So, okay, Steve, we're gonna put you in the soundproof booth. You go ahead, go right in there. And me and Kevin are going to set up for a game of name as many things as you can in 45 seconds. Okay, so Kevin, here's the prompt. I want you in 45 seconds to name as many Assassin's Creed games as you can. Mainline Assassin's Creed games as you can. 45 seconds. Ready, go.
Okay, Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed 3, which I don't think had after titles, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Assassin's Creed Origins, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, okay. Assassin's Creed what was the one before Valhalla? Now I'm panicking.
Don't panic. 10 seconds.
I'm panicking. Assassin's Creed Egypt, Assassin's Creed Japan, Assassin's Creed Canada. What do I do?
Oh, time up.
Okay.
Time up. Okay, you got 6. You know, that ain't bad. Okay, you
6
got
legitimate ones.
6 legitimate ones. Yeah, 6 legitimate ones. Okay, before I call him back in, do you think Steve is going to do better than you? Do you think you're going to beat him?
Oh, I think it's going to be pretty close.
Okay, so
I think I'm going to win because I think he's going to feel like there might be titles after 2 and 3.
Okay. All right, Steve.
Oh, I missed Black Flag. Fuck.
Yes, you did.
Okay. Do I have to have headphones off while he's doing it?
No, you can listen.
Oh,
you can
okay.
listen.
Okay.
Okay, Steve is back from our soundproof booth. How was it in there? Did you enjoy the snacks, cheese and crackers?
They were dry.
I mean, they're crackers. They're supposed to be dry.
Drier than usual.
Were they a Triscuit or something? I mean,
I don't know. They were Ritz, and I don't know. I thought they were drier than Triscuits. I thought was weird.
I love Ritz. Triscuits are the driest cracker, right? That shit's like eating like.
Yeah, but they're great with cheese.
Yeah, I like a Ritz with cheese though. I like the buttery. Okay,
are Triscuits the one with the like weaved wheat?
Yeah, Triscuits are that.
Okay,
one.
Yeah. They're dry as fuck. You're right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You can even dunk them in something and they're still dry. Anyway, Steve. So Kevin did all right. I gave him the prompt and he got 6. Okay. So you need to do 6 or more to tie or win. All right.
All right.
And I'm going to give you the prompt right now. So get ready. I want you in 45 seconds to name as many mainline Assassin's Creed games as you can. Mainline Assassin's Creed games as you can. Ready, go.
Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed 2.
Yes.
Assassin's Creed 3. Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, jeez.
Come on, buddy.
Fuck. There's too many of them.
You play some of these on Switch. Come on.
No, I didn't. Oh, boy. Kevin. Oh, boy. That sounds like I'm getting got.
What's the latest one?
What? All right. I guess there's Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Time up! Kevin wins. You only got
Suck
5.
it, Steve!
So close. I thought you were going to at least tie him because Kevin did not get Black Flag. He forgot. So I was like, oh, you got one up on him there. But you guys didn't even do, I thought you were going to do the 2 spinoffs like Brotherhood or Revelations or something.
I said Brotherhood.
You said mainline.
You said Brotherhood. You said Brotherhood. But like, yeah, but I was like, come on. Like, but yeah. Oh, well.
Not that I would have gotten it.
I forgot there was a strict Assassin's Creed 3 actually until now. Anyway, yeah, that was a prompt. I will have to do that again. I have other prompts. I've saved them. So,
that was the only category we're doing.
That was the only category. It's all I got. I got one more.
Okay.
You guys want to do one more?
I think we should do another one.
You want to do another?
But I'm scared you're going to be like games by this Japanese developer, which I'm not going to do that with names, and then I'm going to panic and sweat and cry.
I'm not going to do that shit to you. I do have another prompt. You want to do it, and then Steve can go first.
Yeah,
and then
let's
you
do
can
it.
go. Okay, let's put Kevin in the soundproof booth right now. He's going in there. He's going to have the cheese and crackers left over. What was in there, Steve? Mozzarella? Cheddar.
There was cheese.
Just cheese. Okay. All right.
I just found the crackers. Fuck.
Okay. Again, we're going to put 45 seconds on the clock, Steve.
All right.
I want you, in that time, to name as many mainline Call of Duty games as you can in 45 seconds. Okay? Call of Duty mainline games, 45 seconds. Ready, go.
Call of Duty, Call of Duty 2, Call of Duty 3, Call of Duty World at War, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Call of Duty Black Ops, Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Oh, boy, this is where I trip up. Fuck.
Come on, bud.
Way too many of them.
Come on. Give me one more. At least one more. Come on. 5 seconds.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3.
Okay. All right. What happened to Black Ops 3 and 4, buddy? Come on. I thought you were going to get those. I thought you were on a path there. Anyway, you got 8. Okay?
All right.
By my count. That's pretty good. 8 is all right. Do you think Kevin will beat you? I asked him the same thing.
I sincerely hope so.
Okay. All right. Okay, we're going to call him back from the soundproof booth, Kevin. All right. How was the cheese and crackers in there? Were you all right?
You just left 4 copies of Jugs magazine in my booth.
Oh man, sorry. Were you not done? Do you need to go back to the booth?
Oh no, I'm done.
Okay.
I also had time for cheese and crackers after.
45 seconds is a long time.
Now, I was glancing at the feed when you guys were doing that, and I seen Steve's mouth moving like the whole fucking time. So I'm assuming he got like 45 answers.
Well, he did not get 45 answers in 45 seconds. He got 8 answers in 45 seconds. Okay. All right.
Shit.
That's 8. That's a number to tie or go surpass, okay?
Title of Final Fantasy games, go.
That actually wouldn't be bad if you wanted to do like spin-offs and shit, or like, like that actually wouldn't be terrible. But no, that is not it. Here is the prompt, okay? Get ready. I want you in 45 seconds to name as many mainline Call of Duty games as you can. 45 seconds. Mainline Call of Duty games. 45 seconds now. Ready, go.
Okay, Call of Duty, Call of Duty 2, Call of Duty 3, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, Call of Duty Black Ops, Call of Duty Black Ops 2, Call of Duty Black Ops 3, Call of Duty Modern Warfare the new one, and Modern Warfare 2 the new one.
It's over.
Ghosts. Well, let me you can't
He's
cut me
dead.
off at the knees here.
You won. It's walk-off win.
Fine.
You hit the grand slam.
Fine. Okay.
You're done. Remember. Anyway, yeah. We'll have to do more props. I promise they won't all be,
I like that game a lot.
Yeah. They won't all be name all the things in the series. I'll come up with other ones. But we will do that again in the future. Oh shit, we have breaking news, according to Steve. Hold on, do we have any breaking news?
Guys, Vin, friend of the show, just texted me. We got new shit coming onto the apps with long names. We got Burger Time Deluxe and Kirby's Dream Land 2 on Game Boy, and Side Pocket on Super NES, and Xevious on NES, and they're live now. Go, go, go.
Go, go, go. Side Pocket is SNES?
Yeah.
I thought that was an NES game. Maybe there was an NES version.
Oh, I guarantee it was. I think it was on everything.
Okay. I never knew of a SNES Side Pocket. Okay, that's interesting.
And no Mole Mania.
Hey, we got 2 good ones on there, though. That's all right.
Kirby Stream Land 2 is a get, though. That's pretty good.
I haven't played that in forever.
We can play as Rick.
Steve,
and his
I
friends.
bet Mole-Mania shows up. I really think it will.
It's gotta
it's
by the
gotta
end of
turn
the
out.
year.
It's gotta.
Yeah.
It's gotta. Wasn't it on 3DS Virtual Console?
It sure was.
Yeah, I thought so. Anyway, okay, yeah. Go enjoy, everybody. Okay. Just random question. Okay, guys. I don't know if you'll even have an answer to this. I'm not even sure that I have an answer to this. But Kevin, do you have a favorite PS1 game? What's your favorite PS1 game? Steve, go ahead.
I want to. I know you guys always want to call me a basic bitch. It's probably Final Fantasy VII.
Okay.
I mean, I'm fairly recent into PlayStation territory, but I remember playing Einhander a very long time ago and liking it a lot. Where the heck is that, guys? On Royale with cheese.
I thought you were going to go full millennial and say like a Croc or Spyro or something.
Why? Why would I like those?
I don't know. Everyone loves those your age. I say your age as if I'm like that much older, but it's like, I don't know. That seems to be everyone's go-to.
You didn't have an answer. I thought it was Jumping Flash for you, Andre.
No, it's not Jumping Flash. First of all, Jumping Flash 2 is better. Secondly, I don't know what it is. I honestly don't know.
Sorry.
No, it's not Ape Escape.
I finished. Full disclosure, I finished Red Dead Redemption a while ago, and then I'm like, hey, I should download a PS1 game because I should. And then, why was it at fucking Ape Escape? Miserable.
Yeah, people love that game. Well, it was like the only game that required the DualShock, and I'm not sure why.
No, it didn't.
I don't know why. It was just a gimmick to get people to buy DualShocks.
There's nothing that couldn't have been done without buttons.
I genuinely don't know. It might be Resident Evil 3, but I don't feel confident saying that. I don't know what my favorite PS1 game is.
God, I want to walk back now. I'm sorry to interrupt. My Crash 3 Warped.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good one if we're going to pick a platformer. Man, I don't know. Yeah, see, I told you I may not even have an answer, and I don't think I do.
I've got a random topic for you guys because I'm always trying to dredge you guys into talking about nostalgia with me. So I want to ask, I don't know the right term to use for this. I'm going to use it as tech ritual. So this doesn't necessarily need to be related to video games, but tech in some way. I want something that you guys miss, from old tech. I think one thing people talk about, like, missing, like getting up and like putting the cartridge in a game console, which I don't fucking really miss that at all. You know what I miss is we don't have physical volume dials on anything anymore. Everything's like touchscreen tap or sliders, and I miss, like, especially a good volume dial with a tactile feel where you can slowly or quickly click it up and hear the volume. I miss that feeling visceral. I'm looking for something that you guys miss that you would consider somewhat of a ritual of tech of the past.
Well, I wouldn't mind digital on that front if it wasn't ridiculous, because like everyone's TV goes up to 100, but you're never going to turn it above like 25 because it's too fucking loud, right? Mm-hmm. Like if they would actually use the 1 to 100 like scale wise, then you could have like a better, because sometimes seriously I'm playing at night, like 5 is too loud and 4 is too low or something, you know, like sometimes. Yeah. If they would actually use the whole scale of it, I wouldn't miss the knobs. But I know what you're saying.
But the knobs were fun and it was nice.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that. Something remember, have you ever had the type of CD player where you could like either partially or fully see the CD spinning real fast? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mine had like the half moon thing where you can kind of see it spinning. There is something about that, and it wasn't just the visual of it, it was a sound. Like, I mean, I got a CD player, I think Christmas 93. And maybe those weren't made as well as some other ones, but it wasn't a loud whirring sound. It wasn't a Dreamcast or anything, but it was definitely like you could hear it spinning, right? Because if there's no music playing, you would know that it's spinning. Mm-hmm. There's something, I don't know what it is about that. Maybe you're sucking me into the nostalgia thing here, but good. I feel like there's something to that. I don't know why. I thought it was mesmerizing that maybe because like I remember records, and they would spin only at a certain pace,
Mm-hmm.
and but CDs just span real fast, right? So it was like maybe it was the speed of it. It's like not correlating with the speed of the music. I don't know. It was weird to me. It was alien technology.
I like it.
Yeah.
What about you, Steve?
I guess this is a fairly basic bitch answer. I know I was talking about this again with Vin in front of the show. Oh no, are you having an affair behind your backs, Steve and the Poke Pals? No, I miss game peripherals. I really do. I miss when we had, in addition to the controller, we had the gun and the mouse, and we don't have that stuff anymore. I brought up fairly early on in my PlayStation 5 life cycle that the only other peripheral I have is the second controller, so I can keep playing when the first one's battery dies. I feel like we've lost an element of fun with that somehow, and I know that's kind of died off with the way we just make and accept technology now, but I don't know. I just miss it.
I wonder if even that kind of died off because, around the same time the Wii was real big and everybody had 100 Wiimotes and fucking plastic, baseball bat ends or whatever. Also Rock Band was big around there and everybody's got the fucking closet full of plastic guitars and, the busted ass drums where the kick pedal is missing. And, I wonder if it just got too much during that time. And that's when everybody just needed to scale back because it felt a little overwhelming.
It was too much and it wasn't done right a lot of the time. Like, with Wii in particular, it was like, here's elements of things. Like, here's a bat. Here's a half of a boxing glove. Here's whatever else, like, we didn't need that shit. We just, I don't know.
Although when Mario Tennis for Switch came out, my kid relentlessly harassed me to get the fucking plastic tennis rackets to put the Joy-Cons in for like 2 weeks until and I told it doesn't fucking do anything. No, but we have the tennis rackets.
I think part of that whole like you were saying, Guitar Hero, all the plastic shit in that era, also Toys to Life, I think did not help at all. Personally, I know people kind of consider that a different thing. I don't. I feel like that was all part of that same thing. Because think about it. By the time Starlink came around, we were like, no, thank you. Like, so it was over at that point. Well over.
I mean, my Amiibo collection says otherwise, but they don't release them like every month anymore. Like they were with the Skylanders, where it's like, here's Spyro's best cousin friend in green now. Go pick him up.
If Disney couldn't do it, then, come on. I still think they pulled the plug on that early. I'm not sure how much that was costing them to really...
There was a whole lot of figures they never actually got to put out because of the way they had to... Because of whatever they needed to do back then. I think they had however many made too. I don't know if any of them actually made it out, but
that's what I was thinking. I feel like they had a whole season and a half or something that never actually saw the light of day because they were just like, nope. I didn't really follow it too because that kind of died right at the beginning. Was there even a PS4 version of Disney? I don't even remember what it was called. Disney Skylanders Infinity? Disney Infinity? What was it called?
It was definitely in the middle of that era because it was on Wii U, and if it was on Wii U, it had to be on the other ones too. But
yeah, but not very far into it is what I'm saying. I feel like it died within like the first year or something. Like definitely by 2015 they were dead.
I think it might be like how Switch definitely launched with Skylanders. Remember that?
Yeah, I mean the kiosks at every store, man. And I didn't get it. I was like, okay, so I have a Spyro Skylander. Then what do? I set it on the thing. And then it's like, I don't know. I think like gameplay-wise, it never made any sense to me. It's like, okay, now do I get to play Spyro? No, I just kind of run around this thing. I guess like as a gameplay concept, I didn't understand.
Hashtag bring back the e-reader for Switch.
How about never? So... But you have to hunt down. Okay, they'll bring back the e-reader, but then you'll have to hunt down the old e-reader cards. Those are the only things that are going to work on Game Boy Advance, Nintendo Switch Online. They're not even going to make new ones. Okay, one more thing before we get out of here, and this is mostly addressed to Kevin. You'll see why in a sec, but I'm sure Steve will have something to say too. Because we've been talking so much about Final Fantasy this show, I wanted to bring this up, and we've talked about this amongst each other before. I don't think we ever have on the air before, but Kevin, they can't kill Aerith this time, right? Aerith, they cannot do it. They cannot kill Aerith in Final Fantasy VII Remake, whatever next.
Why wouldn't they?
There's no way they can do it.
Considered it.
They can't. They're not going to kill her.
But why?
Because things are so different now. And like, she's it's a character people actually care about. Like, if it were just like whoever, and it's just like, okay, like here's a girl that dies at the like near kind of in the first third of the story. Okay, fine. I think things are to the point now where they can't actually do that, or they don't want to.
God, I don't know. It was like early COVID when I played Final Fantasy VII Remake, so it's a little hazy, especially from that time. There was definitely a lot of like different shit that they did with that, but as far, and they like added story elements to some degree, but as far as like major story beats that were radically changed like that, I don't remember anything. I think that's too far of a departure.
There wasn't.
No,
I think if they wanted to, that would be the thing, right, Steve?
I still need to play 7R, but the way they're dragging this out, across these different games, I can't rule it out. I mean, excuse me. I would ordinarily say, oh yeah, they're definitely going to kill her again, but would they? Shrug? I don't know.
But if they're going to go for one major story beat that's different, I think that has to be it.
What if she dies and comes back?
But what, like Jesus? Like what?
Like on the third day she came out of the live stream.
No, but seriously, but like for real, I really do think about it. It would change the entire rest of the game so drastically in a way that I think that would be very interesting. Obviously, they're trying to do their own thing here. They're not trying to stick, like, obviously the Midgar stuff stuck beat for beat for it because I think it kind of had to, because you need to set up the rest of the game. But now that they don't need to do that, I want them to go off the fucking rails. I want Red 13 to be I don't know, a hyena. Turn him into a hyena, not a majestic lion, just a giggling hyena.
7's already not my favorite in the series, but wouldn't the story just kind of end if they don't kill Aerith?
Why? I don't remember. I haven't played the original since it came out, so I don't.
Because I feel like the only reason anyone even does, what happens at the Shrine of the Ancients if she doesn't get killed there?
Fake us out. Have the same scene, her praying there, and then Sephiroth come down, and then Cloud knocks a sword away or something. I don't know, like anything. Like fake us out. Subvert our expectations.
Because a lot of what happens is predicated. It's a lot of emo whining about, oh no, she's gone, and I can't walk until Tifa comes by and tells me I can in fact walk. So
I don't think they want to deal with the blowback of people that are upset that they deviated that far from it.
People are already, I mean,
but people were upset about Tifa's bra size before, not.
Okay, but like people are already like, well, it's too different from the original, which me and you think that's nonsense, but that's another discussion. I just think it would be so fucking interesting if they subverted our expectations on the biggest, most well-known story point that there is.
I mean, it would be, but do they have the balls for that?
I don't know. I think they should, though.
I mean, right now, they barely have the balls to make Final Fantasy 16 a turn-based game the way it should be. So,
excuse us. Except the previous game in the series was not also turn-based, but now we're going to complain about it. No, I don't know. It's something I think about a lot. Even before I played Final Fantasy VII Remake, it's something I've thought about. It's just been playing on my mind. I guess during this next game, we're going to find out. So
Quickly before we go, I wanted to touch on the Last of Us series now that it wrapped up last Sunday. I'm very, very much spoiler free, and I don't really even want to get into the story beats, but more just talk about what I think about how it was done as an adaptation, because I think as an adaptation, it was perfect. They kept true enough. Maybe funny that we're talking about this after how they changed Final Fantasy VII or not. They kept true enough to that story that it kept the essence of it very much. They changed some key points that made sense to change. They gave it room to breathe where it had its own like outside stories to tell that really weren't part of the game itself. I think as far as a video game to, either TV or movie adaptation, that this might be the best that I've seen. So
Really?
yeah, make of that what you will. Yeah. Again, I don't want to get into, how good originally the story was, but I think as an adaptation, it very much succeeded.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. So high marks from you, Steve, you have not played The Last of Us, right?
Nope.
Okay, well, that makes it sound like you're not gonna, so never mind.
I mean, I was gonna consider playing the PS4 one, but you're like, no, you should play the PS5 one if you ever play anything.
Look, I'm telling you, you can say what you want about it being too soon for a remake. It looks fucking incredible. I think anyone who would willingly choose a PS4 one is doing themselves a disservice. It looks crazy. That is graphics on PlayStation 5, baby.
And alternatively, Steve, I think you should be a badass rebel and get a PS3 and play the PS3 version.
Oh, Lord. Okay, enjoy that 25 frames a second.
I barely had space to get this PS5 in here. You nuts?
You're acting like you had to bring it in on a forklift, down.
I pretty much did.
Oh, man. I love one of my favorite. Okay, before we go, one of my favorite gags ever on Penny Arcade, and it wasn't even the point of the comic, but it was right when the Xbox came out and everyone was complaining about how big the controllers were. So they were playing Xbox and the controllers were as big as their lap, and they were playing with these huge walking buttons on their lap, and it was just that wasn't even the punchline, that wasn't even the joke, but it was just a detail in the comic, and it was really funny. Anyway, we're going to get out of here. Find Time Podcast on Twitter. Join us there for fun times. Look in the description of this podcast to find our names on social media, as well as the bio of Find Time Podcast on Twitter. See you next time, guys. Bye. They're trying to move away from Zelda.
Whoa. Speaking of Fast and the Furious.
Man, he must be going to the small penis store with that fucking engine. Jesus Christ.
Gotta get 3 more small penises.
3 more to make one regular one.